Okay, so what we are going to do today is Excel Activity 6 and Excel Activity 7. Everybody should have a piece of paper out or your notes. Take notes on the back side of it in case something's confusing to you and you need to write it down so you can remember it later. So the first thing in Excel Activity 6, this is pretty easy. This is just showing you the ease of copying and pasting the formulas or functions if you need to. So once you do the work up top, all you have to do is copy and paste it down. So for the percent, it asks you to take an equal sign, take the wins, divided by, you don't have to write this down because it's in your notes, parentheses, sorry, the wins plus the losses. Okay, so if you look at this up here, did I use any numbers? Did I type in any actual numbers? No, I did not. What I did is I start with an equal sign because formulas always start with an equal sign. And then I took my wins divided by, this is just order of operations like we do in math, right? So I have to have a parentheses beside around B6 plus C6. Okay, so all this is a math equation. So when you look at your math teacher and you say, why do I have to know algebra? Really? When am I going to use algebra? Right? You've all thought it, right? This is why, because you use it in everyday life. All this is x's and y's. But instead of x's and y's, what do we use? Formulas. And in the formulas, we don't use x's and y's, we use cells, right? Good. We use cells. So instead of these being x's and y's, they're just cells. If we don't put the cells in there and we type numbers in there, then I can't copy and paste the formula. So a couple of you had issues with that last Friday. Make sure that you're using the cells instead of typing these actual numbers in. Once I press enter, I'm going to go and I'm going to change this to a what? Percent. Very good. Once I change it to a percent, I'm just going to take my fat plus sign to a skinny little bitty plus sign, drag it down. Okay? So I just use a fill handle to do all that for me. Now I'm just going to copy, either copy here under the home copy or right click copy, right click paste. I can do Control C and Control V. So if I want to come down here and just do Control V, it'll paste it. If you get an extra one down here in the bottom, just press delete. If there's not as many teams in the West Division as there is in the East Division. Okay. So that's all you do. Then you're going to do the same thing here and then just copy and paste them down. This assignment is very simple. It's just an exercise in copying and pasting, basically. On top of the fact that you have to go make things pretty and center and bold and all that good stuff. Yes? The copy and paste. I'm going to repeat how to copy and paste. There are 3 different options I'm going to give you. When you want to copy and paste, you can highlight. You can come up to the home and say copy and paste. You can right click and say copy and paste. Or our shortcut keys that we did in Microsoft Word work in Microsoft Excel too, and that's just Control C and Control V.
So it will show up as what it actually is, and not as what...
If you use the cells, so if you look here and I double click, if I use the cells, it'll show up correctly. Okay, because it automatically changes those cells. If you typed in the numbers, it would not. It would just show up as 61% for every one of them. But if you use the cells, it's going to change them. Like this is saying B22 divided by B22 plus C22. So it's going to automatically change that from what it was up here where it said B6 divided by B6 plus C6. Okay? That's a great thing. But you have to use those cells so it changes. So that's Excel Activity 6. That's a new skill we're going to do there. Then Excel Activity 7 is going to use Raise. So you're going to go to the R drive and pull up Raise. And this is going to only show you one new skill as well, the conditional formula. The conditional formula is a little bit difficult, so I want you to pay attention. Very, very close attention. called a conditional formula. It's a real fancy word, right? It's called a conditional formula. And what that's saying is there's certain conditions here. And if this happens, I want you to do this. And if this happens, I want you to do this. So in this particular one, it's going to take you through and it's going to ask you to do some editing and some centering, all that good kind of stuff. So you'll go and you'll center and bold, whatever it asks you to do. Okay? And one of the things that it's asking you to do is to write an if-then formula. That's what's a conditional formula in this case. There's different kinds of conditional formulas, but it's saying if this condition's happening, I want you to do this. But if that's not happening, I want you to go do something different. We can get it right here under more functions. So if we go to the home, we go to that sigma sign, we go to more function, the if-then function is there. Or you can go to the formulas tab and insert function, and it is also located here. So you can get to it the same way you get to sum, average, min, max, any of those. Question? I'm going to tell you that in just a minute. I'm just showing you how to get there. Okay, so we're going to go to the home. We're going to go to more functions. That's how I'm going to get there. And I'm going to select this if. Does everybody see the if? And notice I'm in cell F8 because that's where I want this to go. So I'm going to say if. So this is what I'm going to say. If is greater than or equal to, so if your years of service is greater than or equal to 5 years. So if your years of service is greater than or equal to 5 years. And this is in your directions as well. I just want you to understand where to get to the if-then statement and how to do it. So if D8 is greater than or equal to 5. So does everybody see where I put that? So this is our logic test. So that's saying if your years of service, so if what's in cell D8 right here is greater than or equal to 5. So if they've been working for 5 years or more, they are going to get a 5% raise. Okay, so we're going to put 5%. Or you could put 0.05. Okay? And if it's false, you're only going to get a 4% raise. So they are giving people a raise based on if they have 5 or more years of service. You get 5%. And if not, you only get 4%. So it's an if-then statement. If D8 is greater or equal to 5, you're going to get a bigger raise than if you have only been working there 1, 2, 3, or 4 years. Once again, what is this? What's this, though? What is all this? It's formulas, which is algebra and math, right? Ella just did in 3rd grade, greater than, equal to, all that good stuff, right? You've been doing it forever. Now you're just applying it in a different way, which is in Excel. It's still the same way, it's just a different look. Yes? Okay. And other question? I'll answer them both. The greater is just a key on your keyboard. It's a key on your keyboard, right? Greater is above the period, and less than is above the comma. Okay? So, let me review this one more time. I'm going to go to home. I'm going to go to my auto sum. I'm going to use the click down and go to more functions. I'm going to go to if. I'm going to say is D8 greater than, which is above the period, and equals, which is next to the backspace, 5. If it's true, it's 5%. If it's false, it's a 4% raise. I'm going to say OK. If I double click here, it has written the function out for me. So if parentheses D8 is greater or equal to 5, comma, 0.05, which is if it's true, what happens, and 0.04 is if it's false, what happens. Okay? Once I do this, I'm going to change this to percent. Am I going to do this 10 more times down the column? No, what am I going to do? Yes.
The tiny arrow on
Take the bigger plus sign to a tiny little plus sign and click and drag. Okay? So then for my 2011 raise, I will say equals my 2010 salary times my percent increase. And then my new salary would be equals my 2010 salary plus my 2011 salary. And then once again, I just fill this down and I just did all that work. Okay? So it's if-then statements aren't complicated if you understand how they're working. It's even going to do the work for you once you pull that dialog box up. It's going to write that formula or function out for you. So it's going to do that harder work. So instead of going through and looking at each year of service, the computer's doing that work for us, which is the great thing. Once again, it's supposed to be making life easier for us, right?